I always caution my customers to check with their insurance agent to make sure that that's the case. You should get a little bit of a discount from the insurance company for having the secondary water barrier. And then, so once we put that down, then we come in over the top of that with a product that's called TU Max.
Welcome to Opportunity Knocks. I'm your host, Todd Patton, and I have Kyle with me today from A to Z Roofing. Kyle, the man, thank you so much, man. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, thanks for being in the Sprinter. So A to Z Roofing, as you know, Kyle, you guys joined the One Home Service community, and I'm so glad to have you. And you know, there was a lot of people talking around that how Kyle's, he's everywhere. Everywhere I look, I see Kyle at networking event. I see him here. I see him at things. So tell me a little bit about your background. So you've been with A to Z for 7 years now, right?
It's going on about 7 years. I
Yeah.
think March is 7 years. Came in from, as we were talking before the show, from the hospitality business. So I kind of carry that over with me into everything I do in sales. Talking to people, I learned a lot.
That's
through
the
the years.
hospitality business is tough. When you have you can get through that customer service wise, because everybody expects the best of everything. So that's a good background to have. So tell me a little bit about the process, because you get to meet some of these people. So if somebody needs a new roof, do you guys send a drone out there and fly it over? Do you go there personally? Kind of walk us through the process.
So I usually go out personally. Sometimes we get the calls if we can do some preliminary numbers, but typically I like to go out and meet the customer. I like the one-on-one. I like the rapport. Personally, I like to meet the person I'm dealing with, and I feel that people like to do business with people that they have a rapport with. So I try to get out and meet with each customer. Even if we do preliminary numbers, I'll at some point make it out to walk the property and walk them through the process. And that's typically how we would do it. I go out, I walk the facilities or the properties, I take notes on the houses, and then I'll sit down with them for 10 or 15 minutes to explain the process and the materials that we use. And to kind of let them know what to expect through the process of replacing their roof.
And then location-wise, you guys do just Broward, or?
So we do Broward and most of Palm Beach County. We typically don't go into Miami, only because of permitting. Permitting's a nightmare, and if stuff gets kicked back, it's difficult to get down there and fix stuff. So we tend to stay out of Miami. I grew up in Miami, so if I have a friend or somebody calls me for a repair, I'll make some exceptions. But typically, we don't do any advertising or anything there. I don't push or promote business down there.
So what about the process? You mentioned the process of are you guys? The thing I loved about when I spoke with Adrian and Christine was it's a family. You literally are a family. I mean, you guys are all, but it's a family culture, right? I mean, that's some of the things. And I got the feeling just by talking to you, meeting you, and getting to know obviously Adrian, and is you guys keep that with the customer too. You keep that close relationship, right?
Our customers become friends. And especially here in Coral Springs and Parkland. I live here. Adrian and Christine live here. We go out here. We have dinner out. We hang out with friends here. So we're in the community. We're seeing. We want that relationship with our customers.
Love it.
We're going to see them out. So.
Love it. I learned a lot about roofs. I didn't realize. So do you prefer, if you're recommending a roof, what's your favorite? Is it the metal?
So if I were doing my house, I'd put metal on it.
You would?
Yeah. I happen to like the metal. It's got the longevity. It's a 50 to 70 year product, depending on how it's taken care of. And it's very easy to fix if something were to happen. As long as you catch it early, it's an easy repair. If you don't catch it early, then it's a little more difficult. But as long as you, like me, I walk around my house every couple of rains. I look at the ceilings and I want to be preemptive on fixing anything that needs to be repaired. I'd rather not get into mold and drywall and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Try to catch it early. And I tell my customers that too. You should walk around your house every couple of rains. Open the closets, look in the shower, stuff.
I'm picking up an accent. Where are you from?
I'm from Ohio originally.
All right.
My stepfather was from Brooklyn, so I kind of picked up a little bit of his Brooklyn accent.
I think I hear the Ohio a little bit.
Ohio, yeah.
Are you a Cleveland fan?
I'm an Ohio fan. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big sports guy.
You've been down here pretty much.
I'm here since 77.
All right.
My whole life.
Yeah. So I'm the same. 70. Yeah.
So I'm not a big sports guy. Like I do like the Ohio teams because that's where I'm from. So Ohio State and Ohio. I like the Dolphins. I don't follow anything or any particular team.
Yeah.
at any given time. But it's
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to North Miami Beach.
Oh, that's
So
right.
you're
In that Aventura area.
Aventura.
That's North Miami.
North Miami Beach. Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about, again, we're trying to say the process of. I'm sure during that process, there's headaches and things that come up all the time, adversity, and one of the things I love about A to Z is you guys over communicate. It seems like you're very you're proactive when it comes to,
Yes.
and that's not the case a lot in South Florida when you're dealing with companies, right?
No.
So talk a little bit about that process.
So I try to give the customer as much information as possible as to what to expect during the process. Some of the things that could come up, just so that they're not surprised.
Yeah.
I also tell them to put a certain dollar amount, depending on the size of the house that I'm looking at, put a certain dollar amount aside. God forbid something were to come up in the process that wasn't expected. So at least if something does come up, they're prepared for it. They're not scrambling.
Can you give an example of what that might be, like something that could happen?
Stucco work or flashing work. If we open up, because flashing is something we don't see until
What is
we open
flashing?
up the roof. Flashing is it's wall flashing. Anywhere you would have a roof meets a wall line. So usually, typically beside left and right to the front door, you would have a lower roof come up to the wall, and there would be L flashing in there. So if we were to open that
like
up,
a bracket almost.
it's like a 4x7 piece of metal. So
got it.
But
it goes.
It's
up.
an L
It's
shape.
like-
It's an L shape
Okay,
on the roof deck, and then it goes up the
got
wall behind the stucco. So that's something we can't see until we open up the roof. So that's something that if we can't get it back to a clean, workable surface, or it's rusted out, then we would have to cut the wall flashing out of the wall. There's costs associated with the stucco work. We don't typically charge for the flashing portion of it, but there would be costs associated with putting the stucco back, painting the wall, labor, stuff like that.
Sure.
So those are things.
Just in case that might come up, you say, "Hey, we can't see it, but if it's there, be prepared to just be prepared. If it doesn't happen, you don't worry."
If there's a screen enclosure on the house, typically we prefer to have screen enclosures or gutter. We take the gutters off automatically, but screen enclosures we typically like to have those pulled back prior to starting the project. I'll do a visual on the fascia board behind the screen enclosure. I always recommend pulling it back regardless of what I see, but I do leave it at the homeowner's discretion. If it looks good to me, I'll tell them it looks good, and I'll let them decide if they want to keep it up or not. But typically, we want to expose everything that we can expose to see what's going on. We don't want to miss anything. We don't want you calling us back in 6 months saying, "Hey, you missed a piece of rotted fascia board." So that's another expense that could come up in the process that you have to have the screen enclosure pulled back and put back on. If the screen happens to tear because a tile fell off the roof in the process, that's something else that would have to be repaired on the backside. So.
And then, so houses in Coral Springs, let's say, because I moved here in '86, I think, or '87, and we built a new house back in Coral Springs when I was there. If that roof hasn't been replaced, it's got to be replaced like any day now, right? Like
you said 86 or 87?
My old house, I'm saying, like that one, but that one.
So if you're pushing 20, 22 years,
it's time to
depending on the materials that's on there. If it's like a 90-pound hot mop is a mineral paper, it's a builder grade product. Depending on how you've taken care of the roof over the years, a lot of chlorine tends to dry that product out, crack it. Then I would say you're probably looking at replacement within a 22-year mark on a house like that. If you're doing stuff like what we're using today, we use what's called an MTS roof system. It's a double layer rubberized system. Both of those layers are 60 mil thick, which means in the field you're getting 120 mil of protection, and in the valleys you get 240 mil of protection, which is pretty good.
Is that the old mop?
No, that's the new system. It's a peel and stick system.
But I'm saying the old version of that was the mop.
Old version would be the 90 pound would be a mop version of that. There is a better version of the 90 pound, which is actually Adrian considers it to be better than the MTS system. I think they're about equal in performance wise. The difference with an MTS system is you're getting the secondary water barrier built into that. Whereas if you were to do the GMS modified bitumen, there would be an additional step to get the secondary water barrier. And that product is more expensive in general already, so there's even more money involved.
So is this something that customers have to decide on when they hire you? Like or do you say?
I typically start with the MTS roof system. I tell them there's other systems. I try to give them the pros and cons of the systems that we offer. We offer the 3 systems. I offer a poly a poly anchor system, which is so the first layer would be attached to the roof using tin tags and nails, which means you get a tin tag and nail every 6 inches up the roof and a tin tag and nail every 6 inches across the roof. Versus on an MTS system, you're only getting a nail at the 36-inch mark every 36 inches. So it eliminates a lot of nails during that system.
A lot, jeez.
But on the better system, the nails come back because you're putting down a 30-pound, which also needs a nail every 6 inches up the roof and every 6 inches across. The difference is it's a hot mop, so the tar is penetrating.
They do have the hot mop still?
Yeah, that's still a hot mop. It's a very good system. It penetrates all of the crevices, so it's a very good system. I think they're equal. Adrian would tell you probably that the hot mop is a little better. I happen to like the MTS, so I push that a lot.
MTS is a peel and
it's a peel and stick system. Double layer peel and stick. Both layers are peel and stick. So you get the MTS to the roof deck, which is going to give you a secondary water barrier, so you get a discount from the insurance company.
Oh, really?
You should get a discount. I always caution my customers to check with their insurance agent to make sure that that's the case. You should get a little bit of a discount from the insurance company for having the secondary water barrier. And then, so once we put that down, then we come in over the top of that with a product that's called TU Max. It's a polyglass system. Polyglass warranties the material for 30 years. So if there's any failure on the material, they'll give you.
How do you know
material.
that fails? Like, how would you? I mean, if it is it,
they would have to come out and inspect it. So there's ways of telling. Like, really, the only thing that would void the warranty from polyglass or any of the roofers in the industry would be a chlorine wash. Solar too, that as well. So those two things.
Or a chlorine wash. Really?
Chlorine tends. It's at their discretion, but it tends to void the warranty. And you can tell, like in the valleys, it's like on clothing. When chlorine turns something white, it bleaches the valleys all white. So they can tell if there's been heavy chlorine wash over the years. So that wouldn't be covered for product failure. That's from the customer putting bleach on there.
Sure.
So,
man, well, look, I learned a lot about roofs, man. It's amazing in 7 years that you picked all this up. Man, it's unbelievable. You're like
I go through this every day. So I could probably talk to you for 20 or 30 minutes.
We should do a little Jeopardy roof edition.
There you go.
See how you and Adrian go against each other.
Yeah.
I'll be the Alex Trebek.
We would probably disagree on a few things, but
that's good, man. So. Man, it's so good to have you here. I'm looking forward to 2025 working with you and A to Z Roofing. How do they get in touch with you?
You can call our office, 954-227-6637. My cell phone is 954-707-9650. I answer it most hours of the day. So
awesome. Man, thanks so much for being on the show. And Kyle, it's great having you here, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, brother. See you. Yeah, man. Either way. Yeah.